And we are back here on Couch Coach Live, episode 359, as we continue our Commonwealth kickoff. We have a special guest in the building, our guy, Jack Fitzpatrick from Fitz The Bill. You can check him out every day, ESPN radio from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Let's get 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Also part of JMU Sports News and also Talking Dukes. What's going on, Jack? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I am pumped to talk a little JMU today and dive into what to expect out of the old Dukes.
Absolutely. So, and I thought about the Dukes preview. That's the first person that came up to my mind. So I was like, you know what? We got to at least stretch an olive branch, obviously, to have you on and talk about the Dukes. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this Dukes team. I think one of the really intriguing things about this team is the quarterbacks. You look at pretty much what's going on for the quarterbacks from Sluka, and then also one of my favorites, one of my guys from the university, former Spider, and Camden Coleman. What's your overall thoughts on just this quarterback race for this Dukes team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Coleman in there because it kind of seems like he's the odd guy out right now with a lot of the coverage going on around JMU. But they brought in Sluka, of course, the UNLV defector, I think some are calling him, after his 3-4 game stint last year. Doesn't get his NIL money. Well, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say he got his UNLV money. Other people say he didn't. According to Sluka, he didn't get paid what was promised to him. And so instead of wasting his year of eligibility, he then enters the transfer portal early last year, saves that year of eligibility, and is now reunited with his former Holy Cross coach, Bob Chesney. Camden Coleman was a later addition as well. He comes from the University of Richmond. He was being courted by some other teams, and then JMU kind of was a late team to the game, but that's where Coleman ended up landing, along with two of his favorite wide receivers from last year at Richmond, Landon Ellis and Nick DeGennaro. And then, of course, you've got Alonzo Barnett III, the incumbent starter, who tore his ACL on November 30th in the regular season finale against Marshall. And that brings you to now where Alonzo Barnett III still not cleared for contact. We don't know when or if he will be cleared for contact before the start of the season. So it's really just a two-man competition with this third kind of guy hanging around, not sure how ready he'll be when he is cleared for contact. So it makes the whole entire situation really, really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be very, very, very interesting storyline to watch. So, also talk about storylines. Besides the quarterback competition, what have you, what are some storylines to watch for this Dukes team as we get ready to kick off for the Dukes?
Yeah, I mean, the storyline is last year they started off 4-0, right? You have that massive win against UNC. You hang up 70 plus on UNC, a Power 4 opponent. Mac Brown is contemplating retirement after that game. And then, it's a 4-0 start. The Dukes are on top of the world. And they go 4-4 in Sun Belt play. That was underwhelming, to say the least. You win the bowl game. You make your first bowl. You win your first bowl game as a program, the Boca Raton Bowl last year. And you kind of now go into this season with a lot of high expectations. I know we'll talk expectations for this team in a little bit, but the real storyline is, how do they continue the success that they found early on last season? And how do you live up to the expectations? Whether it's Alonzo Barnett III, Matthew Sluka, Camden Coleman, whoever it is starting at quarterback, because that is still an ongoing competition. That's the biggest storyline. But whoever leads them, are they able to put the pieces together to take this team to the promised land? That's the Sun Belt Championship. Heck, that's the college football playoff. That's the storyline. How does this team kind of get the monkey off of its back? It's not that big of a monkey, but get the monkey off of its back after a 4-4 finish to last season and show the world and show the Sun Belt that 4-0 start last year is more what this JMU team is like.
Ed, well, we talked about as we talked about earlier, as far as the quarterback position. What are some other players? I know you also talked about Nick DeGennaro, another former Spider as well. What are some other players to watch for this Dukes team this season?
Their entire skill group the running back room, the wide receivers, heck, the tight ends even a little bit, but mostly the wide receivers and running backs. They got dudes, and then they got some more dudes, and they got some more dudes behind them. On paper, their running back room boasts 5 starting caliber types of running backs. You have Iowa Day, a North Texas transfer who came in last season, but after about 2.5 games of play, he gets shut down with an injury, and so he didn't play all of last year. He's back this year. George Pettaway, a UNC transfer, came up in a big way in Iowa Day's absence last season, was kind of the go-to back, just was a couple yards shy of 1,000 yards on the year. And then, oh, by the way, you have Wayne Knight, who was a key piece, a receiving back for JMU last year. Oh, by the way, Joby Mallory is a force to be reckoned with. The dude's like 6'1", 240, can run 20 miles an hour, which is just a combination that you don't see every day. And they've got an absolute freak of nature, Jordan Fuller, a Holy Cross transfer that just came in this offseason, who's expected to get some run as well. So you've got 5 dudes in that backfield. All are really good. Then on the wide receiver side, you have Landon Ellis, Richmond transfer. He's a rising junior, was a star at Richmond. He shined brightly when Nick DeGennaro went out last season with an injury. You have Nick DeGennaro coming back, and Nick DeGennaro is probably the best wide receiver on this team. Dude does not drop a pass. He's got the most sure hands I've ever seen out of a wide receiver, and he can do it all. Oh, by the way, you have Jalen Sanchez, who's expected to play the slot role for JMU this year, coming over from Villanova, where he found tremendous success. Isaiah Alston, an Iowa State transfer. Zeron Collins is making the jump up from Division II Tusculum to JMU. You've got a lot of guys. And then built in, Mikey Scott. He's a freshman. He's been turning heads at camp. Dylan Williams is a rising junior now, and he's been kind of the talk of the town ever since he stepped foot on JMU as kind of the next up type of guy. So you've got a ton of talent in that room. So kind of overall, I know I named a lot of guys, but the players to watch are the offensive skill group guys. And the offensive line from left to right should be able to give whoever is back there starting at quarterback plenty of time to find the right receiver and make this offense hum. The offensive players to watch are otherworldly, at least on paper. It's going to be fascinating to see how they keep all of those mouths fed when you have literally 10 guys who could be starters across the Sun Belt.
Absolutely. So JMU has a very interesting schedule, to say the least. So what are some games to circle for this Dukes team?
Yeah, so I mean, you got the Weber State game right off the top. That's an FCS FBS opponent. I'm not saying you should circle that because, oh my goodness, are they going to lose to an FCS school? No, not at all. It's just a fun game that you have on the schedule because of all the history JMU has with Weber State in the FCS playoffs back in like 2016, 17, 18. Played a couple of times in the regular season and in the playoffs over the years. So that's just a fun game to kind of have back on your schedule. Then, of course, Louisville week 2 is going to be an absolute blast. And look, JMU wants to win the Sun Belt, right? Like that is what you want. If you don't win the Sun Belt, I think that the coaches are disappointed. I think the players are disappointed. I know the fans would be disappointed if JMU's not in Sun Belt contention. But that Louisville game has huge implications on the college football playoff. Because if you're able to win that game against a Louisville team that's expected to be a better team in the ACC, all of a sudden you've put yourself in the driver's seat to be that group of 5 team that makes it into the college football playoff. You're dominating the headlines. You are a national story really from the start of the season on, and you're going to control your own destiny making the college football playoff. And then bye week into Liberty, a nice little regional rivalry. Liberty fans don't like JMU. JMU fans don't like Liberty fans. You see it play out all the time over social media, on Twitter, all of that fun stuff. So the first month of the season gives you 3 games that, for all different reasons, have really fun storylines around them.
Absolutely. And I know you talked about as far as the success in the Sun Belt is really critical for this team. And also we stated last year being pretty much at 500 in the Sun Belt. So how does JMU stack up against the rest of the Sun Belt?
I mean, on paper, they were picked to win the Sun Belt, right? They were picked to win the East. So that speaks a lot. And you kind of look at the rest of the East, and App State's got a new coach. Marshall's got a new coach. Coastal Carolina lost Ethan Vasco, their starting quarterback from last season. He's now at Liberty. And Coastal has not been able to compete all that well against James Madison since James Madison made the jump up to the Sun Belt. And then you've got a couple other teams sprinkled in there, Georgia Southern, of course, and Georgia State. But I mean, JMU should be the cream of the crop in the East. On the West side, things get a little hazier. The Raging Cajuns should be solid. But I mean, outside of that, Southern Miss has high hopes coming into the year. They got Charles Huff and the entire Marshall team that just won the Sun Belt essentially transferred down to Southern Miss, but Hattiesburg, Mississippi isn't necessarily the best place to play football. You got Troy, who's struggling after John Summerall left them a couple of seasons ago to be the head coach at Tulane. I mean, the Sun Belt is a little weaker than I think it has been in past years due to the coaching turnover. And JMU, I think they got one of the best, if not the best, transfer portal class outside of maybe Southern Miss. And then, oh, by the way, they have that coaching continuity. So they should win the Sun Belt East, and they should be the betting favorite to win the Sun Belt as well because of what their roster is on paper, and having that coaching continuity is pretty massive for the Dukes.
And Jack, I know you kind of made somewhat of a college football playoff in your window. So
yeah,
let's talk some expectations for JMU in your opinion.
Yeah, so you have it there, realistic expectations, right? Because I don't know if college football playoff is necessary. There's so many things that have to go right for you to make the college football playoff. You likely have to beat Louisville or lose to them in close fashion and then beat Liberty. You have to hope if you lose to Louisville, Boise State drops a game or a two, because Boise State's the right now betting favorite to make it to the college football playoff out of the group of five. I mean, a lot of things have to go right. So the realistic expectation for JMU is making it to the Sun Belt title game. I would love for, as a JMU alum, as a JMU fan, I think it would be awesome for them to win the Sun Belt championship, but a realistic expectation with what this roster is on paper and the coaching staff that they got bringing back, a realistic expectation is making it to the Sun Belt title game. That means winning the Sun Belt East, which is possible because, like I said, App State, new coach, Marshall, new coach, and the rest of the league Georgia Southern has had JMU's number when it's played down in Statesboro. This year's Georgia Southern games played at JMU, so that changes the equation a little bit. So realistic expectation, make it to the Sun Belt championship game, win the Sun Belt East.
Right. And so, Jack, before we head on out, social media, tell them where you can find them, and also promote what's going on, and tell them what's going on Wednesday.
Yeah, of course. So just a lot of stuff happening. You can find me at FITZ all the way, Fitz all the way. You can listen to me every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, the ESPN Richmond app, and ESPNRichmond.com. Fitz the Bill. We've got so much stuff happening each and every day with all that going on. And then you can find JMU Sports News, a podcast I run with a friend of mine. We also have a website, jmusportsnews.com, where we dive deep into everything going on across JMU athletics. And then on ESPN Richmond on Wednesday night over at Draftcade in Short Pump, we'll be having a live show out there. Myself, co-host on Talkn Dukes, Matt Josephs, we'll be out there, Draftcade, 6 to 7 p.m., hanging out, talking JMU football. We're working to get some JMU potential guests coming out. It's live radio, so things are a little fluid. But we're trying to nail some of that down and get that out there. But Wednesday night, 6 to 7 p.m., we'll be out at Draftcade doing a Talkn Dukes season preview, having some fun out there, drinking some beer, eating some good food. So would love for everyone to come out and talk some JMU.
Yes, and once again, thank you again for coming on and previewing the Dukes. We're definitely going to have you back on the show down the road at some point, and definitely
fingers crossed. Finger crossed it's a college football playoff preview or something as JMU gets out to a Louisville win, a Liberty win. Heck, if they're 4-0 going into the month of October, I might be getting a little crazy. You might hear my screams wherever you are in Richmond, because I may be going a little crazy with how JMU, if they're 4-0 going into the month of October.
I guarantee you we will definitely hear you regardless of what point in the city of Richmond, east, west, north, we would definitely hear you howling. And like you said, if come find out in December that they make to the college football playoff, trust me, it'll be the gift that'll keep on giving. So we will definitely hear you in December for sure. Like if that does happen, and it's a possibility. Like I said, you just never know. College football is just so complex. Anything can happen between now and and then selection Sunday. Well, I guess you consider it selection Sunday in a sense, but college football wise. But yeah, man, we're definitely gonna have you on at some point yet again during the season or everything that's going on. So once again, I always appreciate you for coming through, and yeah, man.
Thank you so much. Who would have thought a quick little conversation at ACC kickoff would lead us here in middle of the August to be talking Sunbelt football heading into the season?
Yes, indeed. Hey, that's what it is. That's the magic of sports, So yes, indeed. Once again, so this wraps up episode 359, and we'll catch you guys on our next one. And we're out.